Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures, and I've got me a nice big box of a motor nuclear kit. So I recently did a video on their Albing, the Blue Dragon, and absolutely loved it. Loved it. Seriously, great kit. The Dragon is a pain to find a place to store because it's so massive, but that's a different story altogether, and I don't think this is going to be as bad. The box for the Cao Ren here doesn't look as big as the other, at least from what I can remember. I felt like the other box was absolutely massive, so that's already a plus. And you'll see that there's this like birdie phoenix thing in the back, and that's actually because he has a transformation gimmick. Guess what? I will probably never ever transform it, and I promise you I'm not going to show it on the channel because I absolutely am not into transforming gimmicks at all. First off, you'll see right here we have a full internal die-cast frame. Now all those parts are going to get in and attached at various stages later on. You can see the joints all go around it, and ta-da, we've got the finished model. Now this is about a 1/100th scale. It's a little bit bigger than a master grade kit for those of you who are familiar with the Gundam stuff, whereas the actual metal figures that Motor Nuclear are famous for, like the Lubu in my hands here, are 1/72nd scale and over a foot tall and can weigh a few pounds because they are just chock full of metal. So this version, you can see he's got this shield blade, his main sword, and you can actually take the hilts of the sword and put the tails from his bird form as like whip blades. That was not something you could do with the 1/72nd one, although he had like a twin blade Naginata type thing that you could take apart and turn into individual swords, and there was a gold version as well. So that's about it. If you want to pay over $300 for the diecast version for a couple different weapons, I mean, cool. If you want to pay a fraction of the cost and get almost the same exact thing with a little less diecast, a little smaller and more manageable size, and just a fun build in general, then I would say get the model kit. There's still a whole lot of heft here. Let it be known, so you can see right here. He's going to look quite dynamic and attractive with these big, flashy wings. Those are all pre-colored. In fact, that's one thing that's worth noting is just about everything is pre-done. There are no decals whatsoever. So take a look. That's the wing here. As you can see, like the actual coloring shift in the plastic, which is kind of a cool touch, both for the wings, and this is going to be the shield blade as well. You get two of these, obviously, because there's two wings. Some coppery pieces, and again, you can see everything is going to be pre-colored. Gold painted stuff. Shiny bits. Multi-painted parts. More multi-painted stuff. Legs look very similar. These parts look somewhat similar to the Albing. I'm curious to see if there's any real duplication in it. I mean, there's just an absolute ton of pieces here, which has its pluses and minuses. This is like one of those things I need to sit down and really spread everything out so I can get a good long look at what's included. It's just, they keep coming. I'm almost to the bottom. Okay, these are all tail parts. That's base parts. Again, some of this looks familiar. Like the hands, I'm pretty sure, are the exact same. These are different looking, I think. All the pieces to build the base. Joint stuff. Translucent stuff. And the Cao Ren specific box of metal pieces. So you can see all these are metal parts. And I guess you could probably put most of it together yourself, as is. All of the heavy joints are going to be metal on metal, so there's a little less wear and tear on the plastic in that regard. All this and about the equivalent in cost of a modern master grade kit. Let's take a look at the instructions if I can get the camera situated here. Get a breakdown of all of the sprues. Same looking artwork as on the box. There are English translations for everything in here, so be aware. There is no Japanese, but it is Chinese and English. So I gotta say, for the most part, I found the instructions pretty effective, having actually finished and built the Albing. So I don't feel too bad going into this kit. It's like the exact same base. There is an extra part included to cover the plug if you don't want to use the backpack. I do like the fact that they have a lot of options like that. So they do kind of keep it available and open how you want to display things. Here we have the head for building the Phoenix. The process of transforming it, if that's something you're going to do. And as always, a nice paint guide as to what you're going to need. So overall, looks pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to getting it built, and hopefully after this commercial break, you guys are going to be sticking around and seeing how it turns out. So sit tight. All right, we got Cao Ren all put together, and the camera is zoomed nice and far out, and I gotta say, I am quite pleased with the overall results. He is a large and hefty fellow, and he is quite posable too. I'm not a big fan of sitting here playing with it on camera, but rest assured we'll go through a couple of the joints and let you see just what we're dealing with. Size-wise, here is a 1/144th scale Gundam. Here is a typical Space Marine, just to give you a good size indicator. And while we're at it, here is, god damn, this guy's heavy, an actual nuclear motor diecast figure with not even all of his accessories attached. You can see Lubu here is absolutely massive in comparison, and the other motor nuclear figures are just as big. Obviously we can't even fit them on the screen completely. You get the idea though. I'll stick him back there. So I feel like you do get your money's worth with this guy, especially in comparison to the previously released Albing model, which was a hefty amount more in the end due to the dragon that he came with. And we've got a review of that guy as well if you want to see that. But what really makes him stand out, I feel, in both versions, the model kit and the diecast figure, this is really heavy, are the cool Phoenix wings that are included with him. Now, thankfully, I was super fearful that those tails of his on the backpack were all going to have wires or something. No, it's actually all little joints. It was actually quite easy. And, I mean, up close and personal, the detail is really nice. Like I said, you know, he may not have as fancy and as interesting of color separations as the previously released Albing, but he's just as sharp and as pokey. There were a couple spots where I was a little disappointed, and they're mostly covered up, but the pieces didn't sit as flush as I would have liked to have seen them. But again, overall, it's not a huge issue. You know, little movable bits here and there. A lot of options in terms of posability. You can goof around with those. And one interesting feature I noticed was, besides having the giant wing unit, and he is fully transformable, I'm not going to bother because I don't really care about that. It's a very simple transformation if that's something that you're into. He does have, like I said, all those die-cast parts. But grabbing some of the Owlbing parts, they are completely compatible. So if you wanted to start mixing and matching, and hopefully as we see more of the models in this line come out, you could really come up with your own custom figures if you wanted to go whole hog and, you know, kit bash and then start repainting. And for those of you who are curious, we have both models right here, and you can see there is some substantial difference in just the full layout. There are no repeated parts here. Maybe there were in the interior and I just didn't notice it, but overall, while there are some similarities, even like in the designs of the forearms, some of the leg parts look similar, but they are all completely different. Okay, backtrack. Possibly the hands. I want to say the hand sprues might have been exactly the same. That's about it. Everything else, I mean, you can see from the color separation, the shape of the thighs, the feet, the overall profile, while there are a lot of similarities there, they are not actually the same. So that is kind of cool to see. In terms of accessories, we've got the shield, and continuing on with the whole swappable parts here. So if you wanted to, like I said, mix and match, that is an absolute possibility. Shield just slots in right here, if I can get it. That is one of the unfortunate side effects of having so many pointy bits. Sometimes they get in the way. And then the shield has the attachment blade you can stick on there. There might have been two. I don't even remember. It was on the same sprue as the wings. And unfortunately, I thought a bit of a missed opportunity was the fact that he has these dual blades, but you can't actually attach this to it. I thought that was a bit of a miss. Here's his sword. The original die-cast figure actually had a golden version, and then he had a twin sword naginata thing that he could combine or take apart. This version actually has the tail of the Phoenix attachment. You can swap out and turn it into whip swords, which I thought was kind of an interesting touch. The connection point for the weapons is on the inside of the fist, on the fingers, like so. You don't actually have to take the thumb off completely. I probably shouldn't have, but I did. Can I get it back on camera? Probably not. Am I going to try anyway? You betcha. And it's not working, but anyway, you get the idea there. So like I said, really posable, really nice. Has a big, well put together base as well. I mean, it's just a nice looking mech. If you're into the fantasy type mechs, and I mean, there's not a whole lot out there. You know, there's like the Motoroid stuff from Rayearth, and Grand Zord and the other kits they've released, but that's about it. There's not a lot of options for fantasy stuff. So if this is something that sounds interesting to you, I'd say jump on it. It's just an impressive looking beast, especially once he's got, you know, his full loadout attached and ready for action there. I don't know, I'm not great at posing these things. And again, get any of the other figures, they are totally going to work for making your own variations as well. So, happy hunting to those of you who are interested in tracking one of these down. Do it now. We can get it for a decent price. Don't want to see anybody getting ripped off and jacked for exorbitant amounts of money, because you shouldn't. You know, if you're a collector of like master grade type kits, I think this is a really fun one, and it's about comparable in terms of price and complexity. So have at it. I think you're going to have a really nice kit. With that said, then, this has been High Lord Tamerlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.